20 million so-called evangelical Christians decide to stay home last election. That's why what we have in the White House right now. And so you combine that with Nancy Pelosi's tweet, who said he will be allowed to prove his innocence. Well, no, ma'am, that's not the way it works in America. It works, you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think that typifies pretty much what the left has arranged for him.
By this time tomorrow, former President Donald Trump will have been in and out of a New York court, formally arraigned, and planning on making an address to the nation tomorrow night. History in the making, but not the kind of history that he or any other president would want to have on their record. Reporter Nick Harper is standing by outside the president's home in Florida. Nick, thanks for being with us. So, obviously, he went swinging last week when this happened, a little more reserved this weekend. What are you hearing about the president's mood as he left Florida for New York?
Well, all intents and purposes, he seemed rather upbeat, Rob, from what I'm hearing. He seemed ready to go into this, to take the fight to the New York court. We heard from his lawyers over the weekend saying that the former president was ready for battle, that he was preparing for this really as if it was a fight, and that they hoped to get it over and done with quickly, to get in, to get out, and to get back here to Florida, to Mar-a-Lago, because just 5 hours after that scheduled court appearance on Tuesday afternoon, he intends to be giving a speech from his Mar-a-Lago residence, which of course will be the first time that we get to hear the unfiltered comments from President Trump about what exactly he thinks of this indictment, what he thinks of the whole process, and how things went in that courtroom.
We see some of the protesters or supporters of the president there on the streets. What's it been like in town there in Palm Beach?
Well, as you'd imagine, this area has certainly drawn supporters rather than protesters. I've been with them throughout the weekend, some of them travelling a long way. I spoke to one gentleman, a guy called Dirk. He travelled 5 hours from St. Augustine. He'd brought along with him a free hot dog truck to hand out to people who were gathering along the sides of the road. There were plenty of people out with flags, with signs, all of them feeling that Donald Trump has been maligned by the Democrat Party, all of them saying that this was a political witch hunt to try and stop him from running again and entering the White House next year. They were very strong in their views, and some of them said that it wasn't so much the indictment that bothered them. They hadn't turned out because they were angry about that per se, but rather that they wanted to be here, outside the former president's home, to show him their love and their support.
We won't know until tomorrow when the indictment is unsealed, but we know there's at least 30 counts. That's what we've been told. This could go on for a long time or short, but he's got 3 other cases that they're looking into him on, right? This could go on for a long time.
That's right, Rob. Yeah, plenty of investigations also going on in the background, even while this one is very much in the foreground. And it could be that even though this is the first one to indict him, the other ones may come to trial sooner, including that investigation in Georgia looking to his attempts to overturn the election results when he asked election officials to find more votes in the 2020 election. The 2 federal investigations being led by the special prosecutor looking into those classified documents found in his Mar-a-Lago residence down here in Florida. Classified documents that should have been handed over when he left the White House, but were found by the FBI in a raid last August. And on top of that, the special prosecutor looking into whether his rhetoric and his comments may have inspired the January 6th pro-Trump supporters to invade the Capitol to try and overturn the election result just over 2 years ago. Those are all very serious charges, and it could be that things speed up in those cases where, as it slows down in this one, as you said, we won't know the charges and we won't really know the timeline until all of this is in front of the judge tomorrow, and he gets to decide when both sides need to come back to move this case a little bit further forward. Rob?
Well, Nick, we appreciate you coming on today. We will have you on tomorrow after we learn more about the actual indictment and the counts. So thanks for being with us in Florida.
Thanks, Rob.
And joining us now, Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee. Congressman, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you spoke to the president, President Trump, over the weekend. What's his mindset like?
Well, he, is very positive, I thought. He, obviously, I could sense that he felt a little down. But the truth is that, when you get him one-on-one, President Trump it's a very genuine situation. I've seen him with people that you normally wouldn't think President of the United States would associate with, working folks. And he always takes the time out for them. And, and immediately he was talking politics a little bit. He's like, Tennessee, how well he did in Tennessee and how popular he was. And I assured him that I think he's just as popular now, since the new numbers are out. But, I could sense he's got to have an incredible weight on his shoulders. He knows that he's going into the lion's den. New York, although that's where he made his fortune, is a very corrupt and liberal town. And this is just proving it more so. Being charged with a misdemeanor and, trying to make it a felony. Statute of limitations is run. I like to say the numbers are pretty impressive. That the fact that since this has happened, he's raised $5 million. And a lot of people make a lot out of that. I don't make as much out of that as I do out of over 1 million of that was unique contributors, which means those are new people. And then, you throw in the fact that 20 million so-called evangelical Christians decide to stay home last election. That's why what we have in the White House right now. And so you combine that with Nancy Pelosi's tweet, who said he will be allowed to prove his innocence. Well, no, ma'am, that's not the way it works in America. It works, you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think that typifies pretty much what the left has arranged for him. And it's and to me, it just is it's a disgrace, and it shows just how far we've fallen. And honestly, I've said this in the past, we need revival in this country. I don't see Republicans or Democrats fixing this problem, because it is to the core. And we need revival more so in this country than we ever have.
You had tweeted, Americans of any political party should be scared. The rule of law doesn't exist when a former president is indicted like this. So you've been very outspoken about the prosecutor, Alvin Bragg. Why do you think he's doing this?
Well, I think he thinks, and I'm sure in the back of his mind, Mr. Soros' $1 million. These guys don't put money in these races for any other reason other than to have control. And Soros is an anarchist. He is a money changer. He goes in and wrecks countries and then takes advantage of it, in my opinion. You're still allowed to have an opinion in this country, I guess. But, I think it's payback time, and that's what they're doing. Donald Trump was a threat to both parties. He was a threat to the machine. You can call it the swamp. I like calling it the industrial war complex. He's a threat to all of that. You think of all the things he's never started any wars. He got us out of wars. And, and you look at several congressional leaders, their investments making 70, 80%. That's not normal. And he wrecked all that for them. And it's payback time. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now.
In the final 30 seconds, do you think this will help him or hurt him as he goes into the campaign next year?
I think it'll help him. I think he'll probably be knocked off the ballot in New York, which doesn't mean anything to anybody anyway. He's not going to win up there anyway. But I do think that I think it helps him in the long run. I really do, because Americans love a martyr, and that's exactly what they're doing. And he, as it's stated many times, it's not just a bumper sticker. He said, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. And he was in the way.
Congressman, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Lots to look forward to in the next couple of days. It's going to be crazy. Thank you for coming on.
Pray for our country. Thank you so much.